Welcome, everybody. Welcome here at Omega, and welcome to all our friends all over the world. So today's class here, it's entitled Riding the Waves of Grace. And we could also change the title and say, Ride the Waves of the Shakti, the waves of energy within us. This vital force, this power that truly enlivens us on every level. Physically, every cell of our body pulsates. Every organ, every gland in the body pulsates with life. From really as soon as there's conception, in fact, there is a pulsation. The 22nd day, I think, of a fetus is when the heart starts to beat. And around that organization, that's sort of the grand pulsation. The entire body comes into the symphony of pulsation. But our emotions, the mind, everything moves in these waves of energy. And this energy in the highest is supreme consciousness. It is aware. It is self-aware. It is supremely intelligent. It's within all of us. And the mysterious thing is, a lot of the time, we're just not even that aware of it. We get glimmers of it, and we get glimmers of it in times of when we experience beauty or deep heart connection. Even the times that are maybe not so comfortable, and even times of pain, separation, loss, it takes you to the source. It takes you to your heart, and that's the place where spirit pulsates. There is a practice, there is ways to actually magnify these pulsations of spirit within us, that we can literally bring in more energy to our body and to any place we are. We can shift the vibration of something in some place that is profane and bring a real sanctity to it. We could make the profane sacred. There is technique to make sacred space. And this space, one of the keys, is our own body, this temple. Today we're going to use practices of hip openers, forward bends, twists that really address a lot of like in the hips. Because when you get the hips open, you're able to sit in a way where your foundation is steady and the core, this whole central axis of the body, is connected to both the heavens, the sky, and the earth. And in this way, waves of energy move in great harmony. When that occurs, there's truly revelation that takes place. Again, most commonly, it's just a glimmer, like you get a flash. It might only be a moment, but you get sort of a hit of your heart. That's a little awakening. And then we do these practices to make those little moments grow and become more established in our life. When you get moments of the heart, anything that brings you into your heart, that's a little awakening. And for me, when that happens, it means that grace has entered me, that the Spirit has supported my opening. And it might be just the awakening of my understanding that I'm connected to everybody around me, that I'm connected to my environment, and whatever I might think of, the environments that seem kind of low, or those friends that even that I get disturbed about sometimes. There is a connection in all of these things. So I open to this, and I recognize that this revelation is the power of grace. And there are ways to do the practice where grace can come into your life more fully. For me, over the years, this practice is always more than just a physical practice. You know, even as starting it when I was really young, I didn't do it just to like open my hamstrings, to open my hips, to open my shoulders. I wanted a higher opening. And so I did the practice through the body, but in remembrance that this body is part of something grand. So I never started the practice just by like a workout. From even the time as a young kid, a teenager, 13, I'd stop and I'd fold my hands and I remember what I wanted to do in the highest, that this is a spiritual practice. I want to have awakening in my heart. And I recognize that, look, I can't just do this by myself. I can use a lot of effort, and I have during the course of my lifetime, a lot of will. And it, by itself, it really truly hasn't served me that well. But if I put my will, my strong effort that I've cultivated over time into waves of grace, there's been huge openings. And that's really, in a nutshell, one of the differentiating styles of this yoga. This style, Anusara, We don't just try to do it by ourselves. We recognize there's a bigger power that's supporting us, around us and within us. We have got to get more sensitive to feel this pulsation of life all around us, even in others particularly. May we become more sensitive to find the rhythms of life around us, and then we can choose to get in attunement with those waves. When that attunement happens, grace pours in, and you get an opening, even a little one, that is so powerful many times. So here we go. So take a nice seat, turn into your breath, and close your eyes. Feel the pulse of the breath. Now, the word Shakti means the creative power of the Spirit that pulses in everything. In the body, the Shakti is often referred to as the prana, the vital force, that which enlivens, again, every organ, every gland, everything in the body, all of the fluids, the blood, and so on. The prana has a direct correlation to the breath. For as the prana moves, so does the breath, expanding on the inhale, softly draping on the exhale. Waves of life in the form of the breath. We all know that when we pass, when this incarnation passes, and the spirit goes out of this body, the prana goes out as well, and the breath stops, the heart stops beating. But while we are alive, there is winds of grace moving through us. We are being animated for the blessing of this day and this night by something much greater than just the limited ideas of ourself. This breath moves by itself ultimately in this way. We are being breathed. We're not ultimately in control. I mean, certainly I can teach you to hold your breath for an extended period of time, and we will be doing breathing exercises where I will teach you very specific things about the breath. But we all know you try to hold your breath for very long, and eventually you'll be forced by the natural processes to breathe. We go to sleep at night, and the breath moves, the heart beats. It's autonomic. It just happens by itself. This is a key principle in the yoga, for we are not ultimately in control. We serve this life force that moves within us. We want to align with it. We want to take the ride on the waves of spirit. When we start our practice, each time, we just remember this. We are part of a big ocean of consciousness. This ocean pulsates, and the ride on the waves is amazing, full of delight. It's a wild ride sometimes into the whole spectrum of emotion, the wild spectrum of thoughts, imaginations, creative, artistic enterprise. Life is grand, certainly. May we align ourselves with this spirit so that all of this experience of this day grows. That the prana, this light within us, grows in every way. So every time we practice, every class, we just start with this and we ask for blessings for this grand endeavor. Please fold your hands in front. We join together like we did yesterday with 3 ohms. It's a universal mantra, and this mantra vibrates through the whole of the body, awakening body, mind, and heart. It's a universal sound, considered the most primordial of the mantras, literally the vibration that underlies all things, even when you can't hear it with the human ear. Everything, even that which is considered inanimate, vibrates with sound and with light. And the very foundational sound is the grand Om. So no matter where we are in the world, the language that we speak, the color of our skin, what religion we've been brought up in, and so on, there is this vibration, waves of life that are common to all of us. So when we chant Om, we remember this. 3 Oms, and then we do our invocation that starts off with the Om Namah Shivaya Gurave. We'll do it together. Take a deep breath in. To the waves of grace that move through all of us, we bow. And thank you. And releasing your hands, you can lift your head and open your eyes. So you hear how beautiful the chant is, you know, as a group here in this room. So lovely. What and how does that happen? Like, what is a principle? If you want a choir to really become beautiful and harmonious, what's the first principle? If you want to make anything beautiful, what's the first principle? You know what it is? Is to first be sensitive and to listen. You have to attune to something bigger than just yourself. Like the bands that I've played in, playing drums and hanging out with a lot of great musicians, the best bands I've ever heard, those that can attune, can listen. Those guys that sometimes you get together, the all-star bands, you know, and they're so sometimes a little egocentric, you know. They got their, they know who they are, and they have trouble actually listening to each other, and they don't sync that well. Technically, each of them, magnificent. Together, not so good. Why does that happen? They just don't attune. So this is a key. When I teach you pranayama, when I teach you this asana, and probably one of the first and the paramount principle of Anusara is that we do recognize and honor the Shakti, the universal spirit. First and foremost, we're sensitive to this energy, and we feel it moving, and then hearing it, listening, feeling it, all of it, we then choose to attune to it. We're not trying to control it, we try to serve it. Big difference. You get that, and it doesn't matter how flexible, how strong you are, forget it, because you know what? You go to your heart. Then the grace works. Okay? Let's do it. Come up standing. So though we're going to be doing a lot of sitting poses, we want to open up the low back and the hips first. Stretch your arms out to the sides again so that we can feel the breath, the flow of the breath. Bring your feet straight ahead, feet parallel. The foundation of the pose reflects our intention to align with this big energy. Now, just take a breath and soften. Feel your breath moves by itself again, right? You don't have to do anything, and you're going to be breathed. That's a given. That's the blessing. But now we do have choice. How do we want to do it? We can control and grab the breath and pull it in. And when we want it to leave, get out of here. Or we can open the doors of our heart, open the doors of our lungs, receive the guest of the breath. Thank you for coming. And you know what? We don't know exactly when our last breath will be. That's up to God, really. So for every breath I get, open the doors. Thanks for being here. And then the breath goes out. Then the door is shut behind. So do this. Inhale and let your arms follow the breath. Let our movements and actions follow in attunement to the breath. The breath goes out and then the arms follow. And it seems like a really simple exercise, just taking your arms up and down, but it's really here is the sophistication of the method. Inhale and let the breath move first, you see? Are you sensitive and sweet to the energy? Exhale and let the energy move, right? And the arms can follow. For we're not trying to control the breath. Inhale. That's nice, right? And then exhale. The breath goes out. Now, just to feel something, because the contrast is useful. Take your arms up first, then breathe. Arms down, then exhale. That's a disconnection. That should feel nasty. Okay? I hope that translates across the world. Nasty. Inhale and take the arms up. Exhale. And the breath moves and then the arms. Doesn't it feel, see, that's unified. That's yoga. That's the difference. Inhale. The breath moves and then the arms move. Exhale. Yeah, it's sweet. It's good. No rush. Good. Please come to the front of your mat. Hands on your hips. Now, in this first principle about remembering the universal, allow your whole inner body. Think of the inner body as like an etheric double to the physical body. So, you know, the shape of the physical body, but you literally have a pranic body that is the double of that. And in fact, the pranic body is the blueprint on which the physical body is designed. Like if one were to lose a part of the physical body, like I have friends who have had, lost a finger or a limb. And there's actually still the pranic limb, the pranic part. Even when the physical is left, there is this that remains, an etheric body. Think of that. So when you breathe, the inner body is full of light. That's where true power comes from. When you think of core power, for me, that's where it's at. Inside, energetic power. Okay? Keep the inner body lifted, and you'll feel from the sides of your ribs, you lift up all the way underneath your armpits, and the head of the arm bones, right at the top of the shoulders, they move back. And this is what we did yesterday, where the shoulder blades curl into the back, and then finally you radiate. You create expansion. You want to open up the doors of your house, the doors of your temple to receive the gift of the breath, and then exhale and bend forward, touch the floor. Touch the floor with your fingertips and let your head hang. I don't know where you are in your day out there, but if it's the first forward bend of the day, you can grunt. So release your neck and soften your face. Now, with your fingertips on the floor again, inhale and look up. And then exhale, let the breath follow or take you in so the spine follows the breath. And then let's do it just 3 more times. Inhale and extend. Now, as you're stretching forward, keep your thigh bones back. Root the thighs back. Exhale and bow. Take your top of your knees back, thigh bones back, energetically. So your leg muscles are firm. Inhale, look up. Exhale and bow. Got to keep your thighs back, strong, top of the knees back, more, top of the thighs back. One more. Inhale. Thigh bones stay back even as the belly and chest extend forward with the breath. The breath moves, and then exhale, then the spine moves, and even the arms then follow. Now just breathe here and pulsate on the waves of energy. Let the breath, let the prana, this vital force, flow through every part of your body, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. Take your right leg back, knee on the floor this time. Now in this alignment, come up on your fingertips, right? And turn again to the etheric double. So I visualize it like resplendent, full of light. I try to soften my outside, my skin, in order to let the inner body have more free reign. A lot of times I think we're so stiff and contained on the outside that we just don't, we're unable to move so freely inside. So kind of just soften it up and just let yourself fill like a cloud of light in the etheric double. Then keeping that full, melt right between your shoulder blades, you just melt down. Now your arms will want to bend first, resist that. Keep your arms steady and melt right between your shoulder blades. That's right. Now take your left arm on the inside of your leg, walk your hands over to the right diagonally, and bow. Melt the heart, release the head down. Feel the breath. Now, when you're breathing, you could make a resonant sound with your breath, like in your throat. When you tone the throat, you'll hear your breath. It's like when you whisper, you tone the throat. This distinguishes what's called Ujjayi pranayama, the quality of an ever triumphant, uprising breath. Place the hands now on either side of the front foot and step back into downward facing dog. Place the hands flat on the floor. You press down. Look back at your feet and your legs. Bring your feet parallel again and separate your feet sitting bone distance apart. Bend your knees, please. And with your knees bent, lift the outer edges of your feet up a little bit. This will draw more muscle energy into your core. From your feet, up your legs into the hips. It even squeezes the legs toward each other. With lifting the more outer edges of the feet up, you're going to feel how your outer shins get stronger and squeeze in. This is going to help to create expansion of the energy in the hips. By keeping the shins like that now, open up your thighs apart. Try to move even your knees apart. Widen your lower back. Now, what will happen is you try to move your knees apart, your heels will want to splay apart. Keep your heels contained in and widen your thighs even more. Widen your lower back more. This is part of the whole inner spiral. Thighs out, expanding out. Now, everyone, stretch your legs back. Thigh bones back. Top of the knees back. Top of the thighs back. Full stretch in downward facing dog. Breathe deep and stretch back. Good. Sue, you can walk your feet back a little bit. It's fine. Good. Then with the big kick, bring your right foot forward between the hands. Back knee on the floor. The first principle is that pausing to listen, pausing to feel. To me, it's the key. Like if I only had a chance to give you one principle, I'd say that's it. Because everything else, if I give you the technique of how to will it and try to align, you're going to get blocked eventually. And I know from experience, I did literally years of this. And when I went back to just remembering my roots in a way, like soften, feel the spirit, let the energy move through me, it took care of everything. I just gained so much because you know what? The prana, the Shakti, is supremely intelligent. It will direct you. You will feel what to do to enhance life. But you have to feel it first to align with it. Soften your skin, melt your heart right between your shoulder blades. Now bring your right arm on the inside of the leg, walk diagonally to the side, and bow from the heart, melt from the heart. Use the breath, and with every exhale, melt the heart, right between the shoulder blades. Now the back foot, the left foot, if you tuck the toes under, do that, tuck your toes under, and you'll feel that you're going to be able to, with your breath, contain the energy more in the legs and in the hips to the midline of the body. By tucking the back foot under, you're going to allow more muscle energy to happen. It just assists you in that. It's harder to do more muscle energy with the foot flat. It's just more advanced that way with the foot flat back. So here with the toes tucked under, every inhale, pull energy into the core. And with every exhale, melt and soften between your shoulder blades. Good. Place the hands on either side of the front foot. And once again, step forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, look up. Exhale and bow. Legs super strong now on all sides, so hug the leg muscles. This is kind of to me, it's a little bit of a paradox because we want to be able to open up our hips. We want to open our hamstrings, those muscles on the back of the legs. We want to open up our lower back. This is very common areas of stiffness. And then I'm telling you to contract the area, right? So I'm asking you to actually make it stiffer in a way. It seems paradoxical because it is paradoxical. When you hug the muscles of your legs and your hips to tone in, now you're going to use that strength to create an opening. And you do that by moving your thigh bones back more. By moving not only the top of the thighs back, but by widening the thighs apart. By taking top of the thighs back more, top of the knees back, and literally pushing the thighs apart. Feel the widening in the low back. That's better. Hands on your hips, shoulders back, inhale and come up all the way to the sky. Touch the sky. Legs strong, and as you root from your pelvis, you root back into the earth, you solidify your foundation. And from there, you rise up freely. It's a celebration of the life that flows through us in our breath, the beating of our heart. You stretch your elbows up, exhale and bow forward. Very nice. With the fingertips on the floor, hug the leg muscles again. Strong, muscle energy. Muscle energy always comes after that first principle of being soft and sensitive and remembering that we're part of one big ocean of energy. If you forget the first principle and you just hug in, you're going to get really tight, it gets really hard, you block the prana. The waves of grace diminish. So please, take a breath, soften, and then hug the muscles fully, maintaining that soft opening to something grand. Keeping that now, take the right leg back in a straight leg lunge. Fingertips on the floor. Now the back leg, now, draw more energy from the left foot up into the hip strong. Keeping the energy flowing up, that contraction, extend your breath from the focal point of your pelvis back through the back leg, through the bones. Stretch through the back heel. As you extend through the back leg and through the heel, draw your belly forward, draw your heart forward. So you see how you're literally opening up the body in two directions? There's an energetic flow back, out through the legs, and even here there's an energetic flow forward through the belly, the spine. So you open up the energy. Now, keeping that, we're going to inner spiral the legs more. On the back leg, keeping the feet where they are, spin the right leg in and widen the right hip to the right. So literally, turn the right leg in a little bit without moving your foot. See, if you look forward at your friend's foot here in the class, the foot stays steady, and you're widening your right hip to the right sitting bone to the right more. Widen it out, exaggerate it. That inner spiral is a widening action. Now scoop the tailbone under, especially on the left hip. Pull the tailbone under, you'll feel the belly rise up. Keep that and then extend more, the bones. Step forward with the breath. Uttanasana. Hip openers are not just some sitting poses where your legs are externally rotated and you're bent over. You can actually make almost every pose a hip opener if you will use principles of alignment. Take the other leg back. Key principles we're going to use for the whole of the day. Open to something bigger. So you take a breath and you soften. Muscle energy, you pull in from the periphery. Especially we're focusing on the legs and the hips today. Go from your feet, up your legs, right into the hips. And you have to create a cohesive sheath of energy that embraces and supports the whole of the body for this prana to grow inside. That's our intention. May this leg get bigger. So keeping the containment, inner spiral the back leg so much without moving the back foot, because that's what will want to happen. The foot will want to go out, the shin will want to go out. Keep it steady, and then widen the left hip. Turn the left leg in. The thigh bone lifts up away from the floor. Top of the left thigh lifts up. The leg turns in, and there's a widening. So it's like three things. The thigh lifts up away from the floor. It turns in, and it widens. Move your left sitting bone to the left more. That's it. Now scoop your tailbone under. The belly rises up. Stretch the energy now in both directions. The back leg back and the belly forward. Spine forward. That's the pose. And then step forward. That's a hip opener. Notice that it brings a smile to the face. Enjoy the breath. Oh, yeah. Good. Please take a nice seat. Sit cross-legged. My friends on the sides here, you can face me. Sit cross-legged. All right. Basic seating position. Now, on the floor, one of the nice things about sitting cross-legged on the floor is your base is bigger than like when you're sitting in a chair. You can sit in a chair to do pranayama, meditation. It's not like by sitting on the floor or sitting in lotus pose that you will suddenly become more spiritual. So you can sit in a chair, and you can do that in any place, really. And as you get more advanced, it's like in the subway. You know, trying to do pranayama or meditation in the subway, that is advanced. But in any case here, when you're just sitting here, you find a cross-legged position where your base is wide. With the legs more closely contracted and crossed, do that. Take the middle of your shins and cross the middle of your shins. The diaphragm is the bottom part of the rib cage. You can feel this like a dome-shaped muscle that helps us to breathe, that moves, creates opening for our lungs. And when the shins are crossed like this, the tone of the diaphragm, what is it for you? Does it tighten more or does it loosen more? Well, take your legs wider apart and point the feet and see if the diaphragm relaxes more or tightens more. So you see how it relaxes more and cross the shins again? And the diaphragm hardens more, tightens more. So interestingly, if you want to create more tone, which can actually afford more power to the breath, you want to get your legs tighter. Now the problem is, with the legs tighter, it takes more flexibility, it takes more strength. So a wider stance in the legs, if you open up your knees again, where the feet are pointed and the legs are wide, the diaphragm relaxes. Your breath, to take a really deep breath, it'll probably be a little bit more challenging, believe it or not. You won't have the power necessarily, for most people, to take a full breath and the base is wide and the diaphragm is relaxed. A very interesting point here is this is one of the reasons that full lotus pose is recommended for a lot of these pranayamas and meditation, because the base is tight. So tight in the lotus that even one knee is up off the floor, and you have so much pull in that the diaphragm's toned, the intercostals are toned. It even pumps blood from the legs and the pelvis upward, keeping the mind stimulated, the brain stimulated, even when you go deep into meditation. These are some of the bases for it. Aside from also that channels of energy, the prana, run in the legs, specifically and mainly like digestive channels that run in the leg. But all these energy channels are properly stimulated, especially poses like lotus pose. They help to bring a lot of good health to the body, the flow, these waves of prana in the body. Now, let's find the stance for you. Maybe open the legs up to make it a little bit more comfortable to start. And from here, the next place we check for the alignment is the lower back. You got to have your lower back arched. So you try to feel in your low back and see, are the vertebrae, are they going in, and is there creating a trench in the lower back? If you're trying to sit up as best you can and the back is still rounded because of some stiffness, not a problem. Just take a blanket or two and use the minimum amount of support to create that arch. Okay? That's the first thing. Next thing is you check your knees. if your back is tipped properly, but you're sitting with a wide cross leg and your knees are still elevated, that indicates you're still going to have to be up a little bit. So one thing is you check the knees in relationship to the crest of the pelvis, the top of the pelvis. If the knees are at the crest of the pelvis, you probably need to sit up a little bit. It'll help your back. Okay, basic sitting form. Then once you have the lower back in, the groins here where the legs meet the pelvis should have a sense of release, softening. One way to do that is take one hand along your inner thigh, the other hand on the hip, and as a unit, turning your hip and your leg inward and widening. So the hip and the leg, you take it, the other side, turn it in and widen it. So the pelvis and the leg move together. A lot of times people are taught to just pull the buttock flesh back and out to the side. But the leg bone doesn't turn. It can be static, and the hips or the buttock flesh is moved, so they're not moved as a unit. It's so much more effective to turn the leg bone and the hip together. That'll align your back and your hip better. Now, if you feel, palpate the top of the legs and notice that that area is more soft. You feel that? That's very important. So you want that area to be releasing down and to be heavy. That indicates also that the prana in the lower belly, a region called the apana vayu, is moving properly downward. So all sitting poses, that area has to be well anchored, okay? Place your hands now on your knees. Lift the inner body, side body long. Head of the arm bones back again. Shoulder blades supporting the back. So keep the side body puffed up. It's good. Head of the arm bones back, shoulder blades on the back. Look straight ahead, then close the eyes. Now, 1 minute of Ujjayi Pranayama. You're going to breathe through your nose, make a resonant sound with your breath, where the inhale and the exhale are of the same duration of time. Begin in your own time. Open up your ribs. Receive the breath. So you open your ribs, even the sides of your ribs, expand to the lift, rising up, all the way underneath the armpits. When you exhale, keep the top chest lifted even as the breath goes out. Listen to the breath. Fill yourself with prana. Fill yourself with light. Be a vessel of light. Let this energy move and wave through you. Waves of revelation. Waves of grace. The right side and the left side fill up evenly. Puff up both sides with light. Expand your back and your front evenly. Expand. Rise. Soften your face. Relax your jaw even as you're strong with the breath. Keep filling with light. At the end of the next exhalation, let the breath go by itself. So no sound in the throat's relaxed, but you're just breathing naturally, for the breath is moving you and breathing you. Trust in the intelligence, the supreme intelligence of life, and allow it just to flow through you in waves. Then allow your eyes to open in slow motion. It's good. Put your hands on the top chest. It's like a sweet sheath, like a cloak, and you give yourself a little bit of downward pressure. Now, here, this type of pressure, go up against it. Use your muscles. Now, to do that, partly it is what's called the intercostal muscles. It's the muscles between the ribs. Each of the sets of ribs can move independently. So now I want you to breathe so strong that you lift the rib cage using those muscles. So your hands kind of give you some pressure to give you kinesthetic awareness of how, some feedback to lift more. So lift the top chest. Keep the chest lifted and then try to exhale. Deep breath. Exhale. Don't lose the chest. Keep the light lifted from inside and bring the hands down. Turn the palms face up so your shoulder loop is still activated. So the top chest stays lifted throughout the pranayama. Put your thumbs now in the creases of your armpits. We do this in Texas sometimes when you have to visualize overalls or suspenders. And then you have to talk like you're from the country to do it like this. Go up, lift the sides, shoulder loop. Keep that kind of lift and bring the hands back down. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. That's the lift. Now, you have to expand the back even as you keep the lift, what you just created. That's the form for pranayama. Okay? Very good. Now you notice how that takes a lot of effort. So you could do a little bit at a time and we'll build up. Okay, so stretch your legs out. Okay, stretch your right leg out, fold your left leg back. So I'm doing mirror image here. Right leg out, left leg back. With your hands, manually take the hip and the leg and move as a unit. Turn it in. That's right. And have your right leg, if you can, go straight ahead on your mat. And those here in the front row, go ahead and just turn back to the front. It'll be easier orientation for you, and your legs will be on your mats. The mat, one of the good things about the delineation of the mat, it helps you to orient where you are. And the more aligned you are in general balance, the prana, the vital force, will flow. Point the left foot now. Point the left foot as we did yesterday. Take the left knee back a little bit further. Have the heel more in line with the left groin. So there's different variations of the pose. In fact, do this. Bring your left foot along flat on the inner right thigh. Bring the left hip forward more. So your left foot is along the inner right thigh. And notice that your hips are more square to the front. Do you feel that? I actually call this pose Ardha Paschimottanasana, when you bend forward, because the pelvis is straight ahead like in regular Paschimottanasana, but it's just one-legged. So I want you now to take the left knee back at least to 90 degrees with the right. So the thigh bone is at least 90 degrees back, and point the foot. Now the pelvis is skewed. Do you see that? This is actually good for the twist of the back. It will bring more energy also into the whole lower part of the back. Now, from here, put your hands behind you. Take a breath, first principle. Soften and be sensitive. Listen. Now hug in. Draw energy into the midline. Squeeze in. Keep that, and now inner spiral. Spin the legs in, move the groins back and apart. So see how the lower back has to arch. First stage of all forward bends, you have to get an arch. So no matter what props you have to use, it's okay. And these are not easy to do. You got to use a lot of strength to hold your back there. Keep the legs strong. Spread the toes with the breath. Inhale, rise through the torso. Exhale and bend forward over the right leg. Turn over the right leg and bend forward. With your right hand on the floor by your hips, slide your left hand along the leg toward the foot. Enjoy the breath. Within each breath is this vital force, this prana. You take a full deep breath and you gain more energy, the gift of the breath. Press down with your right hand. The whole right side of the ribs will lift up more. Can you lift the right waistline up? Yeah, good. See? Away from the hip. Now turn the belly more to the right. There you go. Turn your chest to the right. Back the shoulders off a little bit and melt the heart more and go deeper into the pose. Forehead all the way down toward the leg. How's that? Back off your armpits. Melt the heart. One more breath. Exhale, go deeper. That's it. Good. Inhale to come up. Switch legs. Stretch the left leg out, right leg back. Activate from here more. So fold your right leg back. Let me show you a little trick, everybody, that's good for just a simple thing, but it can make a big difference for many of you, I bet. When you take the leg back, you could take the leg back and you can grab and lift the leg up and take it over. Now, when you do that, many times the groin will harden. If you just let the leg fall open and relax and slide the leg back and take that, the groin is very soft and your leg will open up more easily. It's better for the hip. When the hips are open, it takes pressure off the knee. Try that and see what happens. Okay? Now, adjust the straight leg accordingly. One hand on the hip, one hand on the inner thigh, and turn it in as a unit. So you got to turn it in, right, and see how the knee and the foot face straight up. First principle, we're not in charge. That's a good thing. See how it takes the pressure off immediately. Oh, good. Let the ocean move. I just catch the wave. Then I hug in, because you got to line your board with the wave. Draw in. Then turn the belly to the left. Rise with both sides and use the breath. Breath will move, and then you bend into the pose, see? Move into the pose with the breath. The left hand on the floor is a good place to start because it just it blocks and prohibits a collapse on that side. You can use the hand to press down, and it's nice because it'll help you to get the lift on the whole left side. Both sides still, the whole inner body, remember, they have to puff up that much, okay? You got to go, yeah, that's it. And then you can melt so much better. Eva, way to go. As you turn your belly more to the left, as you bend more forward, the right knee will want to slide forward. Keep it back. Keep the groin back. Turn the belly more to the left. One more breath, go deeper into the pose. It's good. Inhale and come up. Now, one twist. Stretch both legs out. Stretch the legs out, then simple cross legs again. This time you can cross the middle of the shins a little bit more. It'll help. So more of the middle of the shins cross. I think this pose there's an irony to the name of this pose. You know, it's called Sukhasana. You know what that means? It means the pose of, Sukha means like ease. Like when you're, like it's just flowing and I'm happy. Like you sit like this long enough, you just suddenly, just sitting cross-legged, I'm burst into a sweat. You know, what happened to the Sukha? You sure it's not called Dukhasana? You know? Dukkha, pain, you know, the pain and suffering. Because it's not easy. Believe me, this is not easy. But I want you to sit cross-legged for a minute. Now do your principles. First principle, listen. Soften to the Shakti. Second, hug in strong. Now one thing you can do is put your hands now along the inner knees like this. Something like that. And then press your knees isometrically up into your hands. Now do it so strong that you feel it even in your core, that you feel it even in your low back. I want you to press your knees up so strong that you feel it in your low back. When you feel that tone in your low back, that's actually around your sacroiliac joint. There are ligaments there in your low back that actually tone. This is a very important action that you want in your twists. Now keep that kind of tone. Put your left hand on your right knee. Keep the tone like you're squeezing in. Put your right hand behind you. Keep the lower back drawing in. Keep the tone and rise with spirit. Both sides rising, and then exhale and turn to the right. When you turn, the left side of the body opens with the breath. Expand light on the left side and let the left side turn around. Beautiful, Osi, beautiful. And Eva, you have to just puff up more like this. Open your throat, and you'll get real buoyant. It looks good. Cat, take your right shoulder back more. And open the throat, everybody. Open your throat a little bit to let the energy flow more. One more exhale, turn deep from the belly all the way to the head. Good, and inhale to come out of the pose. Inhaling coming out of twists will keep the integrity. When you exhale, sometimes you'll collapse. It's a little trick. So you want to maintain the integrity as you're moving. There's both stability and there's freedom. And this game is what makes the Shakti grow. If you're too loose, it's dampened. Too hard, you block it. It's both containment and glorification. Hug in to the left. Draw in, lower back arches, lift the chest, and twist. You can put your right hand on the outside of your left knee, your left hand behind you. Wait for your breath. Let the breath lead the way. As you twist to the left, it's so common to let the side to which you're turning lead the way. Like your left side will tend to get pulled over. Your left eye will try to lead the way. Do the opposite. Go to the right side and let the right side spin around. Let even your right eye turn more. Draw your left shoulder back more, even more. Now widen your elbows, widen your shoulders apart. With one big breath, expand. Expand inside, rising up, and twist more deeply to the left. Good, and release. Come back to the middle. Stretch the legs out again. Oh yeah. Separate the feet outer hip width apart for the outer edges of the feet. Now, put your hands by your sides. Anchor the legs. Root the legs so the thighs move back. With your hands behind you, arch your lower back. Now this is more difficult to tip the pelvis than when the legs are crossed. So this is actually more intermediate than what you just did. It's harder to arch the back. Now if your back is rounding, you can sit up on something, or the assistants will also get you something to sit up on. Then, keeping the lower back arched, start walking the hands forward, lifting up through the heart, bend forward, go for the feet with the hands. You can put a belt around your feet as well. So you could be sitting up and using a belt, but all the while, the thigh bones move to the back of the legs. So hug the legs strong. With one breath, make the whole side body lift, exhale, and bow forward more. The elbows and the armpits, wherever you are, let them float up. And let the heart come forward another couple inches. Everybody, spread your toes more. Spread your toes. Enliven the legs. Enliven the legs super strong and root the legs down to the floor. Charge the legs. Don't let your feet move. Don't let your shins move, but try to turn the legs in a little bit and widen the thighs apart. Split and open the legs. Widen the low back. You got to push out from the midline. Armpits up, go down a little deeper. Okay, good. Inhale and come up. Join the legs back together. This time, fold the right leg. You can put the right foot on the floor straight away or cross the right leg over the straight leg. If you're more flexible, crossing over, it'll give you a little bit more opening. Put the foot on the floor. Wrap your left arm around the leg or hook your arm. Hooking the arm is a little bit more intermediate. Wrap your arm or hook the arm. Perfect. Now, go through the set of principles. First principle, let the Shakti move. May we serve the energy. Then, when you hug in, you know how you had your hands on your inner knees and you press your knees up? That creates an embrace of the energy. Pull into the middle, the midline, the core of the body. Hug in. So from here now, turn, lower back arches, and exhale and turn to the right. Hugging in, lower back in and up. Exhale, turn more to the right. It's the left side of the back that turns. It's the left even side of the face that turns first. When you bend your right elbow even, you can widen your shoulders out to the sides. The throat is open. Expand. Shoulders back. Lift the throat more. With one big exhale, turn more. Now, keeping the turn, anchor the right hip down more. Put more weight on the right hip. Outer spiral the right hip more. Lift the right waistline, and let the left side turn more. Good. And inhale to come back to center. Well done. Second side. Stretch the right leg out. Fold the left leg. Cross the left foot over if you're more flexible, or you just put the foot on the floor straight away by the left sitting bone. You can wrap the arm around the knee, or you can hook the arm if you're more able. The right foot stays straight up and down, the right knee is straight up and down. The foundation of the pose, your straight right leg, and the left foot have to anchor the floor, pressing the floor strong. Hug in, arch the lower back, rise up with the breath, and then exhale and twist to the left. See how the right side comes around? And it's a sweet opening. It's revealing. Gracefully, you open the shoulders back. Bend the left elbow, left shoulder back, and turn even more freely to the left. Every inhale, you rise up from the low back, through the heart. So good. And then exhale and turn. Good. Inhale and to come out of the pose and release. Good. Come sit cross-legged. This time, do open your knees wide out to the sides. You can put one foot in front of the other. If you point the feet, maybe one ankle will be in front of the other, and those in the front row can turn toward me. Inner body bright. That whole etheric double is just swells with light, and yet the outside of the body drapes. Good. Lower back arches. Knees are down, groins are soft. Now, we're going to do a little pranayama where you're going to inhale for a count of 6 going up. Then at the top of the inhale, you'll hold the breath for 6, and then exhale for the breath out for 6. When you inhale, you want to allow the breath to fill the bottom of your torso first. Remember that the lungs only go to the bottom of your ribs, right? So therefore the air, the physical air only goes there. But the prana can go all the way down to the floor of the pelvis. And it fills up, just like when if you have a pitcher or an urn and you're filling it with liquid, it'll fill from the bottom to the top, right? And when you want to empty or pour out, the liquid that's on top, of course, comes out first and it goes out. So we're going to orient ourselves from the inside, looking at the prana. It fills bottom to top, and it empties top to bottom. You're going to fill up. You'll go even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath to 6. Then, keeping the chest lifted. Remember the earlier exercise? You don't just exhale and let the rib cage collapse. But keeping the form, you let the guests go out. You let the breath move out evenly. Count to 6 all the way down, and then you'll begin your inhale again. All right? So here we go. Turn the palms face up at first, and charge the shoulder blades on the back. So you have to use some muscle here because it's not easy. Once you've done that, turn the palms face down, but if the shoulders feel like you're losing it, you can turn your palms face up. It's totally fine, okay? It's strong and good. Even though you're contracting the muscles on the back or in the front, create an expansion, widen. Don't just pull in so tight. Make space. Now, close your eyes with your head right over your pelvis. In your own time, Ujjayi breathing, listen to the breath. Count to yourself. Begin. Inhale. So just slow, steady rhythm. When you reach 6 in the very top of the ribs with the breath, hold the breath. Count to yourself. After 6, you exhale. Keep the top chest lifting all the while. When you get all the way down to the bottom, you start the inhale again. We'll do it for 1 minute. So you keep your own count. Fill from bottom to top. Listen to the breath. Make a steady sound. It'll help you to make the breath even. Ride on the waves of the Shakti. Ride on the waves of the prana as you fill from bottom to top, all the way up. Swell with light. Be light. And when you hold the breath, you're not being greedy. You're holding the gift. More light, just hold it steady and just visualize yourself getting so expansive, full of white light. And when you're full, you pour back out. Make offerings back. The breath comes out. It's strong. So every couple breaths, recharge your shoulder blades, head of the arm bones back. This is not easy. So you use power from inside. Side body long, head of the arm bones back. At the end of the next exhalation, let the breath go by itself. Keep your eyes closed. No sound in the throat. Completely soft. Just feel the light. Be sensitive to the light. This is the revelatory power. More energy, more grace. May we have a revelation of our true nature, even just a glimmer. Now we're going to do, for 2 minutes, continuous ohms. So we're just going to fill the room with ohms. Everybody can chant the sound ohm at their own rate, their own speed, and so on. So it'll just feel like a symphony in the room. All the voices outside and around the world, you can contribute your ohms. When we do the ohms, we just make like a tapestry, a symphony of energy. Close your eyes. I'll ring the bell at the end of a couple of minutes and begin. Silence. You can allow your eyes to slowly open, and once again, stretch your legs out. Turn sideways on your mat, face the big stage here. Open your legs into Upavishta Konasana. Manually turn one hip and one leg in. Notice that the knee and the foot face straight up. When I say that the foot's straight up, one of the landmarks is the second toe mound. From the middle of the ankle to your second toe mound, that's considered, in general, anatomical neutral. That kind of balance of the leg. So the leg will want to turn out and try to get the second toe up. Then lower back draws in and up, lift up with light. Exhale, turn in your belly to the right, turn your chest to the right, rise up with the breath, and bow over the right leg. Slide your left hand down the leg to hold the foot, or you can put a belt around the foot, and with your right hand on the floor, press down, rise up both sides of the ribs, and bow. Now, once you're there, still do Ujjayi. Listen to the breath. The volume of the breath doesn't have to be so strong and loud, nor does it have to be so soft that you can't hardly hear it. You make your breath very pleasant, the sound full enough that you can hear it clearly, but that the quality of the breath reflects a beauty of the heart in this offering of this pose. The belly turns more to the right side of the waistline lifts up more, and the left side of the chest goes down first. Then melt the heart more, and you can bring your head all the way down. It's so good. Inhale and come up, turn. Belly turns to the left, chest turns to the left. Rise up with the breath, and turn and bow forward over the left leg. Rise up, exhale, bend forward. The legs are still strong. Again, there's that paradox, creating opening through contraction, creating expansion through integration. Every inhale from your feet, draw up into your hips, enliven your shins even. The very outside of the shins is enlivened from the muscle energy drawing from the feet up into the hips. Keep the inner thigh strong. The left knee will want to turn out. Keep the left leg turning in more. Yeah, as best you can. Turn it in, the whole inner edge of the leg pressing down. Rise up more with the left side of the ribs. Turn more with the right and go even deeper into the pose. Melt the heart and extend the side ribs out through the elbows, out through the arms. Excellent. Inhale and come up. Turn the feet parallel, or turn back to middle. Bend your knees manually. You can bring your legs back together and face the front again. Come to the front of your sticky mat. Stretch both legs out. Bend the left leg in so that the foot is near the groin, left knee is over the side, and then take the right leg over on the outside of the left leg, Ardha Matsyendrasana, a sitting twist. Left leg in first, cross the right leg over. Once again, wrap the left arm or hook the elbow on the outside of the leg. Draw the lower back in and up, lifting up through the lungs with the breath. Then exhale and twist to the right. That's good. Now notice, the more you push your arm or pull the arm to the leg, the right hip will come up. Keep the knee where it is, okay? But anchor the right hip down more. So really pull it down, tack it down. When you tack it down, the back will tend to round more. Keep drawing the lower back in and up, even with the right hip down more. Then rise up fully. It's the left side of the back that has to do the turn. The whole left ribs, the left kidney turns. The left lung can turn more. Take the shoulders back and open the throat. Take your top of your ears back a little bit. With one breath now, widen the elbows, widen the shoulders, and expand the energy inside. Big energy expansion. That's it. Good. And releasing. Inhale to come back. And then switch. Well done. These are strong, if you hadn't noticed. Hook your elbow and wrap your arm around the leg. Take a breath. And first principle, soften to be sensitive to the waves of Shakti. May we serve. May we take a ride on the waves. Then draw into the midline. Lower back in and up. Exhale and turn. Push the knee across the midline more with your arm. When you do that, you see how your left hip will come up. Now, as hard as you can, keep the knee there so it'll keep the expansion of the pelvis better. But then you have to tack the left hip down. Not so easy. So your arm is resistant, tack the hip down, yeah? And then you flow up with the breath and then let the whole right side turn around. That's so good. Use your arm and hook the arm even more as best you can. So you can go even more. Oh, yeah. Rise up on the inhale. Rise up and then exhale. And it's the whole right side that turns. Shoulders back, throat open. Good. Good. Inhale and come back to center. Stretch it out. Now bring the right leg in front, left leg back, pigeon stretch. Preparation for the pigeon pose. A nice hip opener, which is not always so easy, or at least not so well performed. Because most people in this pose, like if you just sort of casually bend over, maybe you just do that, just bend over, you're going to get a stretch in your leg and your hip. You'll probably feel some stretch in your butt maybe. That's how most people just hang out. They'll wait, I'm getting a stretch and I'll just hang. But that is not necessarily a good sensation or a balanced way of practicing it. So come back, walk your hands back. First principle, inner body bright, soften your skin, melt the heart. First principle, just connecting to something bigger. Then tuck your back toes under and hug in the muscles. Hug the leg muscles, the hips. Find the midline, okay? There's the tone. The back shin, even the front shin, even this the right shin, the outside, you have to engage it. So oftentimes the right foot, completely passive, doing Shavasana. Engage it, okay? Once you got it engaged, now do inner spiral. Groins back and apart. And when you have the back shin strong, widen the left hip to the left. Try to move your left hip, left sitting bone to the left. Widen your left thigh to the left. Exaggerate if you have to. Good. Now turn your belly to the right more. Scoop the tailbone under. See how the belly draws up? And then bend over. Don't let go of the tailbone when you bend over. Now pump the prana in the hips. Open up the hips. Listen to your breath. So the sound of the breath helps you to create such a beautiful balance of the waves. So you're helping and assisting the waves of energy to flow through you. Listen to the breath. Don't move the legs, okay? Come more upright and now start twisting more to the right. You can use your left hand on the outside of the leg. You can even use your elbow on the outside of the leg. Twist more. Hand, elbow, whatever you can do, twist more on the outside of the right leg. Pull the belly way over. Now, even though you're widening your left hip to the left, you got to tack your right hip back down toward the floor. Not only down, but pull the right hip back. So the left hip goes forward and widens, but the right hip tacks down and back. As I like to say, that fixes everything. Inhale and come up and switch sides. Oh yeah, see the spontaneous movement of prana inside. Oh yeah. In Texas, they'd say, I thought I saw God there for a minute. I saw it. I'm telling you right. Tuck the back toes under, walk your hands back, and fill with light. Inner body bright. Soften the skin, and remember what it's all about. So you keep it in the perspective. We're not in charge. That's what it's all about. May we serve the Shakti. See, the heart melts. Isn't that sweet? And then you hug it because it's so divine. You're attracted to it. Pull in, and it's strong. The back toes tucked under is just a good way of doing it in the beginning. I mean, you can put your back foot flat, but this is good here. Squeeze in, now inner spiral. Both legs inner spiral. Both legs outer spiral. But the back leg in all these poses has to have more emphasis on the inner spiral. Keep the foot in the shin as you have it, and turn the right leg in, turn the right hip in, and widen the right hip to the right. Widen the right sitting bone to the right. Good. The right shin will tend to collapse. Piper Kid. And keep the knee up. There it is. Widen the right sitting bone more. That's it. And then pull the belly to the left. Tuck the tailbone under on the left side more. See how the belly lifts up? And then you bend over. Don't let go of that engagement, that scooping, that mula bandha, it's called. The action of the groins. Back and apart, and the tailbone scooped under. Which hip do you feel like is higher, which is lower? So try to balance it out. The back hip, when you inner spiral more, that right hip should widen more to the right. Yeah, see? That widens over to the right. Now the left side has a chance to go back and down more. It tacks back and down. Breathe powerfully now in the core of the pelvis. Keep the tone of the tailbone engaged. Come more upright. Walk to the left. Put your right hand on the outside of the leg or use your elbow. Deep twist, way below the navel. Use your breath and turn big time. Turn. Exhale. Turn. The right hip has got to stay wide. The right hip wide. The left hip back and down. Left hip wide. Right hip back and down. Good. And child's pose. Do you feel how the happiness is being revealed right now? The big toes touching, knees open, and you bend right over, and there it is. It could not happen unless that was your true nature. With your knees, let your knees open up more and just soften down more. Breathe. Hands in front in this variation. Breathe fully. Bow to the Shakti. Bow to the Spirit. Open to grace. And the waves of the breath move. Good. Inhale, and please come up. One more little pranayama. Sit cross-legged. So the knees are out to the sides. Those in front can face me. Let's do a digital pranayama. Okay, digital is with the hands. It's going to be an alternate nostril breath. There are different ones. This one today we'll do Nadi Shodhana. It's called Nadi Shodhana. It means the purification of the channels. It's done. You start with your right hand, and you take the first two fingers of your right hand. World peace. And you take these first two fingers and you curl them into the crease of the thumb. Okay? The other fingers, the little fingers, they have to be in the same line. So you have to bend the little fingers and bring the very tips of the fingers on together. They're in the same line. Okay? The tip of your thumb is going to be blocking your right nostril, the very tip, not the pad, not the thick pad, but just the tip. The tips of your little fingers will block your left nostril. Okay? You're going to start with exhalation through your right nostril. You'll then inhale through your right. You're going to block the right, then exhale through the left, inhale through the left, and then alternate again. You're going to exhale and inhale on one side, then you block that side, and then exhale and inhale on the other side. Okay, just alternating, starting with exhalation. So you'll block with your hand, now block your left nostril. Inner body bright, head of the arm bones back, shoulder loop, exhale through the right, Ujjayi. Inhale through the right. Block the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Block that, exhale the other way. Good. Again, inhale. Block the right, alternate. Fill the chest up, inhale. It's top ribs lifting. It's really good. Keep that lift inside, block the left, exhale through the right. Don't drop the chest. Use your shoulder blade muscles as you exhale. Then inhale, full of light, waves of Shakti filling you. Block, exhale the other side. Inhale through the left. Block, exhale one more time through the right. One more. Inhale. Now release the hand and exhale through both nostrils. Natural breath now. Let the breath go by itself. So you just close your eyes, soften your throat, just be breathed. Inside, you feel and experience more luster of spirit. For the prana and the shakti is full of light by its nature. And you feel that. You let yourself be expanded with light. This light is revelatory. It's full of grace. Allow it to infuse your awareness, your mind, with the clarity of your true nature. May we see and feel more of our connection with everything. You're able to experience how things connect more, how we connect to everything else. A tapestry of light. Keep the inner body bright, keep the awareness of the light, and then allow your eyes to slowly open. Then, happily, stretch your legs out and lie on your back. Now, if you have a belt, grab a belt. It's not necessary to have a belt if you're really flexible, but you might like one. Let's do a couple minutes of Supta Padangusthasana. Notice how the prana is happy that you're lying down. And the pulsation is now this is sukha, you see? All right, now take a breath, just enjoy. Then rejoin the legs, join the legs together, join the feet together. Spread the toes. Yeah, join your legs, good. Muscle energy hugs the midline. It embraces the light. Then when you inner spiral, that starts at the feet and it comes up the legs. It turns the legs in, but it moves the thigh bones back, and it widens the whole thing apart, thighs apart, pelvis apart. So you've got a lower back arch, and your thighs are flat on the floor. Keep the left leg flat, bend the right leg, put a belt on the right foot, or hold the back of the legs. The key now is the back of the left leg. Excellent. And then stretch the right leg up in the air. Okay? Good. She's happy. See? And look at your foot, your right foot. It's got to also be happy. Stretch the mound of the big toe up. Stretch the little toe mound up. Inner heel, outer heel. Yeah. Spread the toes happily. Now pump the breath through the core lines of the body. Focal point in Supta Padangusthasana is in the core of the pelvis. For when the pelvic focal point, the focal point of the heart, and inside the palate are of the same level and equally weight-bearing, the pelvic focal point wins by default. So from there, when you inhale, you draw into the core of the pelvis. When you're there in the core of the pelvis, you shine out through your legs, through the left leg, up through the right leg. Everybody, side body long, shoulders back. Pump the breath strong. Now, momentarily, lift your head and look down your left leg and see that your left leg, the second toe, is still vertical. Left leg is flat as best you can. Okay, then put the head back. Don't let go of the left leg. Okay, put both sides of the belt into your right hand, keeping the left leg steady. Take the right leg over to the right. With your left hand, hold your friend's leg that's coming into your personal space. And open up the energy with the breath. He likes it. The whole inner left thigh anchors down. Scoop the tailbone on your right side. The right hip scoops under. And now stretch out through the legs more. Very good. Bright. Shine it out. Release the friend's leg. Inhale and come up. Bring the leg down. Pause and release. Left leg. Rejoin the legs. Left leg up. Right leg is flush as you take the left leg up. opening up the channels of the legs. When you open up the hips and the legs, as we're doing this afternoon a little bit more, the energy gets to open up to the spine even more. It's a core part of the body. It's a key part of the body. To open up the hips even here, you have to anchor the bottom leg down. That's the key. And you mainly do that through hugging in the muscle energy and holding the muscle energy strong. You got a big inner spiral. You've got to take the groins down toward the floor. Take the top of the thigh to the floor. That's good. Keeping that, now take the left leg to the left. Rooting out through the legs, scoop the tailbone under the left hip and stretch out through the legs fully. If you take your friend's leg toward your higher chakras, they become more awakened. Or at least their mouth will open or something happens. Good enough. Good. And release. And back up. And release it all the way down. Temporarily let your feet and legs fall open out to the sides. Feel the waves of prana moving in you. So the first principle, you just let you get out of the way a little bit and let the energy flow through you in both healing ways and revelatory ways, beautiful waves. Deepen your breath. Bend both knees into the chest. Open up your knees a little bit apart. Move the sitting bones down toward the floor, shoulders back. It's good. If you open up your knees more, then you can bring your sitting bones down like that. It feels good on the back. It's good. And the side body is long and the shoulders are back. Good. Put the feet on the floor and pause. Feel the pulse of the breath. It's not, again, just the air, but it's energy. This energy is sparkly consciousness. It's actually spirit. And every day we become more enlivened with it. We become deeper embodiments of it. Isn't that fantastic? And that means that every day has a chance of getting better and better. It's a beautiful thing. And then just let your legs slide out. One of the great poses of all time, Shavasana. Shavasana. And here at Omega Institute, we're going to be lowering the lights. At home, we're going to be fading you guys out here in a little bit. So thank you for joining us today. And see you tomorrow. So get set. Your palms face up. If you have eyeglasses on, please remove your glasses. You can put them to the sides. The back of the body is heavy on the floor. In Shavasana, the inner body is still buoyant and bright. There's not a collapse of the etheric body, for it is still singing the glory of the one ocean of energy. The skin melts onto this beautiful, bright, inner glow. The muscles relax, and so the bones get heavier. Hands and feet get heavy. The arms and legs become very heavy with each slow exhalation. Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shanti